Small cheer and a great welcome makes a merry feast. We're honored to have your presence. A picture is worth more than 1,000 words. Photography is an art of observation. It finds something interesting even in an ordinary place. It has a little to do with the things we see and everything to do with the way we see them. Our perspicacious students are going to cheer you and take you into the world of photography now.
Life is like a camera. Just focus on what's important and capture the good times. Develop from the negatives, and if things don't work out, just take another shot. Good morning to one and all. This is Guru Mitra from 8B. Think back. When was the first time you picked up a storybook and felt an urge to read it? What was one thing that held your interest? Yes, the pictures in it. Pictures have always played a vital role in our lives. We learned what is A and what is B through pictures. As humans, we have always been attracted towards pictures. Pictures or photos appeal us more than words do. We also felt the need to capture those moments which were the dearest to our heart, and hence evolved was the art of photography. Photography, as we all know, is the art or practice of taking and processing photographs. The word photography literally means drawing with light. Photography has come a long way in its relatively short history. The first cameras were the pinhole cameras, which did not record images but simply projected them onto another surface. Then invented by the daguerreotypes, in which a copper plate coated with silver was exposed to iodine vapor. To create the image on this plate, the early daguerreotypes had to be exposed to light for up to 15 minutes. Then invented were the emulsion plate and the dry plate. In the 1950s, the SLR type cameras, which used lenses, were introduced. In the 1970s and 1980s, we had compact cameras which were capable of making controlled decisions. In the 1980s and 1990s, manufacturers worked on cameras that stored images electronically. These were the digital ones that we use today. In just 200 years, the camera developed from a plain box that took blurry photos to the ones that we use today. The story, or moreover the history of photography, is truly fascinating. Moving on, there are four major types of photography. The first type is amateur. Amateur photographers take photos for personal use, as a hobby, or out of a casual interest. The second type is commercial. Any photographer who is paid for his images is a commercial photographer. This includes advertising photography, food photography, real estate photography, and etc. The third type is photojournalism. It is a particular form of photography that employs images in order to tell a news story. Photojournalists must deliver news in a creative format that is not only informative but also entertaining. The fourth type is wildlife photography. It involves capturing various images of the wildlife. Participating in different photography competitions is an excellent way for photographers to get recognition. And the world's leading photography competition that supports photographers from all over the world is the Sony World Photography Awards. It is held by the World Photography Organization in association with Sony. This year's winner of this competition is Craig Easton. Photography isn't as easy an art as we take it to be. Skill, patience, practice, and the knowledge of the direction of light are the basis for good photography. Jimmy Nelson, Lee Jeffries, and Joe McNally are some of the world's best photographers. Some of the best Indian photographers are Raghu Rai, Davanita Singh, and Jayant Sharma. With the boom in advertising, media, and fashion industry, photography has emerged as an excellent career option for many. In today's digitalized world, around 1 trillion photographs are taken in a year. On an average, 95 million photographs are uploaded daily on Instagram and 300 million on Facebook. Also, the world's most expensive photograph was sold for $4.3 million. This might bring a question to your mind. What is the reason for the popularity of photography? The human brain can store images more effectively than it can store random facts or information. But this is just one of the reasons. The other main reason is that a moment that's gone forever is captured only through a photograph. You feel serene when you see the photo of a beautiful scenery, and you feel happy when you see the photo of a cute little puppy. In other words, a good photograph is one that evokes emotions from the viewer. There are moments worth living again. So live it again with a camera. With this, I would like to conclude saying a photograph is not a paper filled with colors. A photograph is a paper etched with memories. Thank you.
There's something magical about photography. It's a fleeting moment captured in a shot that will be cherished and saved forever. Photographs talk to us, conveying the humanity of the moment. Let us have a first-class healthy conversation on photography.
Hello everyone! Say cheese. Smile please. Look at the body. At any point of your life, you would have stood in front of the bifocal lens to capture a moment, isn't it? Yes, today we are gathered here to talk on the talkable image, nothing but photography. I, selection of 8E, would like to welcome you all for this interesting debate on photography. I have Divya and Kamalanath on my side who is going to share their thoughts.
Photography is a talking image. In today's world, over 2.3 million photographs are taken every minute. Everyone has a camera in their pocket, and billions of people are using and consuming photography on their regular basis. There's something magical about photos, a fleeting moment captured in a shot to be cherished and saved forever. Memories that are long forgotten come alive in an instant when one comes across an old photograph. A silent yet a potent reminder of time gone by and forgotten. I have experienced it a lot, and I'm sure you have experienced it too. Come on now, I had purposely made my visual background of my childhood images. From when I started to work and some of my travel memories to haha. Come on now, can you imagine a world without any photos? We would quite possibly left without anything to reminisce about. From a baby's first steps to wedding vows, photos capture all that and more. Precious moments caught in pictures are framed with love and displayed with pride. So to always remind one of the time well spent. Wouldn't you have to agree?
Oh, is it? But you're not taking a photograph, you're making it. Yes, you people are creating an event, situation, and a history of a place. From presidential selfies to never ending Instagram feeds, the world is drowning in images. It may be diverse, profession, or a hobby, but have some debates around it, some of its more controversial topics. Yes, you're feeding on others like Kevin Carter, the South African photographer, was criticized for his famous Pulitzer Prize winning photograph of a starving sedances toddler with a vulture lurking in the background. People felt he should have been helping the child rather than taking the photo. Thereby, you add a feather to your cap than feeding the dying man, or else filling your pocket by portraying the weaker side of the world.
But the seriousness of this issue is again brought to people's attention through a photograph, isn't it? These days, pictures are as important to news as they are written or printed by. In fact, in a country like ours, where still many people cannot read or write, photos have a greater use and a greater impact, and I hope you understand it. Photographs are seen along with written news in magazines and newspapers, and they add to the impact of the news and convince us about the truth of the event we are reading about. With the ubiquity of photography in our daily lives, it is easy to forget how powerful images are. But, in the words of writer and curator Marvin Hefferman, photography changes everything in its path. Photographs play a large role in shaping how we view the world. When we take and share photographs, we are shaping how others view the world. This is an amazing privilege and an enormous responsibility. So to conclude that all I can say, a picture worth thousand words is very true. It plays an important role in our daily lives. A picture tells a story as well as a large amount of descriptive text. Many things cannot be easily understood by a text or vocabulary, but the same things are well understood by pictures.
Yes, Divya, now I strongly agree with your point. But my only concern is a large amount of proportion of people who are bothered and their privacy is forcefully focused or brought to the limelight. The whole witnessed the death of late Princess Diana and many more. Yes, Divya, now you can admit your statement that photography changes everything in its path. And some photographs have shunned their lives to nowhere. It is because the photographer would not have sought permissions from the model, which offends the person rather than sense of confrontation. Also, photography is an art, but nowadays it is a cellulite market where the photographers want to be rewarded for their fake perfection. According to them, manipulate the true reflection is called the professional perfection. So to conclude, I strongly say that photography is not the true reflection, rather it's a faking perfection misguiding the viewers. You surely hear or heard these kind of situations in your past or present or future life. Apart from this, many comes with evidences as number one, asking permissions. We all know that asking for permissions shows respect and guarantees are interested. Are all the photographers following this to capture the photos? Just think about pre and post for managed photos. 25% with the permission and 75% without permissions, which is non-consent. Think the percentage as vice versa, then people will be able to more accommodating with the less chance of offending the person. Your photographing, which in turn means less chance of confrontation. Number two, rewards to value the people. Is it done by any photographers? Maybe few, but many want them themselves alone to be rewarded for their work. Think about the time they spend for you to give poses. Think about the commercial you're gaining. Are you compensating the person who offers their time for you? Okay, we can go with the above discussion, but have you worried about the post production of photos? It is equal to cheating the reality. It is creating a fake scene which is misguiding the viewers. Even enhancing saturation and adjusting highlights and shadow is manipulating a true reflection of the scene and what has been captured. To come out of these issues, a few rules can be followed as I like rewarding people and not faking the photographs. Thank you.
Yes, Kamala, seeing all these evidences, I think it's alarming time for us to educate our people on these issues. Let's build the art of photography without spoiling humanity and privacy. Thank you.
Photos should respect human dignity and ensure the rights, safety of person or people being portrayed. Strive to be good ally to all collaborators. Do no harm to collaborators directly or indirectly. Represent communities and people accurately. Obtain the explicit consent and retain the integrity of the image. No selfies or photographs with wildlife. And do not accept any compensations, favors, or gifts that may influence the outcome of your project. Thank you. Have a photographic day. A camera is an instrument that teaches people how to see without a camera. It never shows what it looks like. Instead, it shows what it feels like. We're indeed gifted to have one such professional photographer, Mr. Arvind, here to share his love for photography.
A warm welcome to one and all. As is rightly said, a picture is worth a thousand words because a moment dropped in the frame of camera is capable of delivering thousands of emotions, which words may be short to describe. The chief guest of my show is who started photography as a hobby and later, because of his sheer hard work and passion, become a professional photographer. Let us invite Mr. Aravind Selvaraj, an alumni of the school.
Warm welcome, sir.
Hi.
I really want to know
Why did you choose photography as a career?
First, I started photography as a hobby and started to explore more and travel a lot, which made me to meet different people from various cultures and gave me a peace of mind and happiness. So I made up a decision and chose it as my career.
That's interesting. Since the photographic techniques and equipment changes quickly, it is important to stay up to date, right? What do you do to always keep up with the times?
As time changes, I upgrade myself with new gadgets, reading blogs, and learn new techniques and practice it daily. That makes me up to date.
Everyone has access to devices which make possible to take pictures. What do you think the difference between a professional photographer and any other hobby photographer?
Okay, good question. There is no much difference. It's simple. If you're shooting for your happiness, that's hobby. And in professional case, it will be your client happiness as well as your happiness.
A cameraman's biggest asset is bag, isn't it?
Yeah,
Can I get a chance to explore your bag?
sure.
It's my honor to have an interview with you.
Thank you. And happy photography day to all.
The kind of photography we know today date back to the late 1830s. Here comes our enthusiastic students to perform a role play on the stages of photography.
Dear friends and my lovely teachers, I am Anushka Saranan and I am a black and white photography. Let's start with a famous quote like, when you photograph people in color, you photograph their clothes. But when you photograph people in black and white, you photograph their souls. Nothing conveys mood and emotion quite like a good black and white image. But simply removing color from an image is unlikely to achieve this. What is black and white photography? Black and white photography is the art of using different tones of grey, ranging from white to dark, to create compelling images. This genre has a very long history, as long as photography itself. By the time photographers captured the first permanent color image in 1861, monochrome photos had been around for 35 years. Still, although color is a new kid on the block, it hasn't replaced the art of black and white. Color can be a distraction. It can be dull and lifeless. Of course, in today's world, the vast majority of photographs are taken in color. Perhaps this means you have lost some of the beauty and imagination that photography to convey. Perhaps you have noticed that there are two common terms which refer to the same thing, black and white and monochrome. The word monochrome means of a single color. So, monochrome photos can have a color tint, assuming it is just one color. True black and white photos have no color at all. They are entirely black, grey and white. There are seven elements of the best black and white photos. The best black and white photos accomplish that by perfecting the seven elements below. Shadow, contrast, tones, dark and light, shapes, texture, composition and emotion. Okay, thank you everyone for joining the journey of black and white photography. Let's celebrate the World Photography Day with cheer and pride. Thank you. Hello, the tranquil rising of the sun along with the flying of birds. What a wonderful version feed. Photos of pinky white cherry blossoms, majestic walk of land, sweet smile of infants, and fast gait of follow. Excite you. How did it become possible? It is only possible because of me. Yes, I am the modern day photography. Now, let me say the benefits and features you get from me. My period marked the shift from traditional to the more direct way of capturing photos. Nowadays, you all are equipped with smartphones, and that is even enough for me to produce a professional photograph. Bokeh is the effect that makes the out of focus objects blurred. The infrared effect is one that majorly supports the wildlife photography. The night effect is similar to the infrared photography in which helps you to click clear photos even at night.
Humans have a version of 135 degrees, but panoramic photographs capture photos at an elongated field of view or by merging multiple shots. Struggling to capture a wide, beautiful scenario in a single shot? Then you must try the panoramic shot. Travel 78 years back. What animation meant that time? A sort of thing that is used in movies alone. But today, animation is used as a regular part of photography. Yeah, who doesn't like to take adorable selfies with augmented reality stickers? Photography is an art that transforms an ordinary thing into an extraordinary thing under lenses. Makeup is a similar kind of art but with pleasures. Now it's time for photography to do the work of makeup too. Yes, using filters, you can do buffing, toning, whitening, shape your face, trim your face, and draw your eyebrows. Okay, now it's time to take a photo. Make your pose. Are you confused with giving a pose? Need not to worry. I also have outlines for incredible poses which help you with the situations. Tiny objects are the things to be cherished, but we can't see that in the naked eye. Macro photography helps you with such a special feature in which you can take clear, high quality photos of tiny things. Not only this, there's a lot of special features like layering, panning, photo masking, reflection shadows, and a lot more with me to make your photos perfect and attractive. Some of the software and applications which I have for you to access these features are Canva, Pixlr, Adobe After Effects, Canva, Snapseed, Instagram, Afterlight, and many more like this. So make use of my features to make your ordinary photos into extraordinary photos. Thank you.
Black and white images combine black and white into a continuous spectrum, creating a range of neutral gray. A very warm welcome to one and all present here. I am Swati Bharati Dasan of class 7C, here to showcase the role model of monochrome photography. It is a photography where each position on an image can be recorded and show a different amount of light. But remember that it cannot show a different hue. It includes all form of black and white photography which produces a range of neutral gray which ranges from black to white and not from white to black. And then when we move on to its comparison and black and white's opposite, which is the colored photography. A colored photography is a photography that uses media capable to capture and reproduce color. By contrast, only black and white images can show a single channel of luminance, which is brightness, and make media capable to capture only one single color, which is the neutral gray. And I hope that all of you are aware of the topic which I'm going to talk the next, which is the filter. And filter can modify and change the images which is recorded. For example, when you take a photo with your red colored lipstick or your red colored t-shirt and you use a black and white photography, it is undoubtedly and it will exactly change into a black and white images as it's shown here. And then when you use a colored photography and even more brighted photography, it is exactly and it is again undoubtedly it will change into a beautiful red or pink, or you can even change its color. And I know that and I believe that all of you are illuminated and you are brighted with a, I don't want to say that, which is the monochrome photography to the color of gray. And one more thing, let's celebrate the art of photography. Thank you all.
Good morning to all. I am Arun Bharati Raja, studying 6th standard in KNMS. Today I am going to talk about modern photography. Our photos can speak instantly to the world and our reminiscence happens in real time. Few could have foreseen that our relationship with photography becomes so intimate. We see more moments with the camera. Phones and experience go hand in hand. We walk to the world looking for moments to capture, in turn the shape, the way we experience our environment. An instance with social media habits can impact the way we store memories. Researchers have found. The researchers found that remembering through the photograph had increased the other forms of understanding. When we watch reality,
unfold through the lens of the camera and on our screen, we are just taking a fraction of experience. I would like to share that my modern photography can be in different types like photojournalism, fashion photography, sports photography, still life photography, editorial photography, and architectural photography. Thus, I have made this 21st century, taking their possibility and bringing their technology in the showcasing the art of photography. Thank you all.
Photography is an austere yet blazing poetry of the world. When words become unclear, we shall be focusing with photographs. When photographs become inadequate, we shall be content with silence. Here I have my friend to tell us how to make a beautiful photo frame.
Hi, myself Rakshinya from 7E. Today I'm going to share with you all how to make an easy photo frame.
To start off, I have taken 2 cardboard pieces and also 4 double-sided tapes. Now I'm going to stick these double-sided tape on the corner of the cardboard. And I'm removing the outer label of the double-sided tape. Then I'm sticking the outer cardboard to it. Next I'm going to paint it. For that I have taken acrylic paint and a paintbrush to paint the cardboard. After completing it, I am allowing it to dry for some time. Now for the flower I have taken 5x5 square piece and I am rolling it into a cone like this. Such way we will be needing 22 pieces. Now I have taken a circle with a chart and I am sticking all the cones to it with the help of a glue. First I am starting off with sticking pink cones on the outside of the chart. Then I'm going to move on to the blue cones. For that I'm going to cut the cone for some length and I'm going to stick the blue cone between 2 pink cones. Like this. Like this we want to do all the cones. After completing all the cones, this would look like this. And now as a finishing touch I'm putting a silver stone inside it. Now for the second flower, I have taken 5x5 square piece and I am bending it into a triangle and I am securing it with a glue like this. And then I am taking 9 pieces like this and I am going to glue it together to form a flower. We will be needing 5 flowers to make the photo frame. Now I have sticked all the 9 petals to all the flowers onto the frame. For that I am using a hot glue gun. Even you could use double-sided tape or Fevicol. I am going to paste all the flowers onto the corners of the frame. Now I am making some glitter leaves. For that I am using a silhouette of a glitter leaf and I am cutting it with the help of a glitter foam sheet. Like this, we want to stick all the leaves on the frame.
This is how we could make an easy photo frame. Hope you guys loved it. Please do try out this at your home.
Photography is the best art in the world. Photography keeps a moment still and makes it a precious memory by avoiding it from running away. So now let's have our friend from KNMS family to give a very impressive performance about the various types of photography. That was really a marvelous performance. I'm sure that we have got a very good explanation and the idea about the different types of photography.
Welcome guys, myself Shanmugam from 7th B, here before you, going to share my thoughts about nature photography. Yeah, let's get started. Created by NANPA, which means North American Natural Photography Association. Yeah, it's time for history now. Let's go with some fun facts. Look deep into nature and then you will understand everything better. Adopt the pace of nature. Her secret is patience. How glorious the greeting of sun gives the mountains. Keep your love of nature, so that is the true way to understand art more and more. The aim of nature photography is to transmit the splendor of our most magnificent natural and national parks and the creatures which live in them. Natural photography comprises pictures of nature, and it is not only restricted to capturing the pictures of trees and plants, and it rather includes any outdoor aspects including water bodies, hills and even the sky. Natural photography also enables viewers to connect with landscapes and wildlife. This emotional impact often provides the impulse of people to become involved in environmental conservation. With natural photography, it's usually best in taking a mixture of close-ups and sweep landscapes. For example, sweeping landscapes and close-ups of flora and fauna makes a great image. Much of nature photography is mainly made up of scientific, travel and cultural publications. But many times it is considered as the finest example of fine art photography. The best part of nature photography is there isn't any real wrong photo. But of course there can be some bad pictures as it don't turn out well or weren't the shot you actually wanted. Nature is nature as it is beautiful and intricate, and the thing anything shows is always right. Let me conclude this with this line. Study nature, love nature, and nature never fails you. Until then, bye bye.
A warm welcome to all my respected teachers and friends. Do you all know which photograph expresses the person's character and profession without any verbal language? Yes, your guess is correct. It is portrait photography. Portrait photography mainly focuses on person's character, uniqueness and profession. There are many types of portrait photograph, but we are going to discuss about formal and casual. The entry point for a perfect photograph is eyes of the subject. A person who mingles and communicates with all people can take a perfect photograph. It expresses their profession and tradition. focus lens. I hope you all got some information about portrait photography. Thank you.
Aerial photography have an imaginary of taking photograph, rubber aircraft or other flying object. Platform for air photography include fixed wing aircraft, helicopter, unmanned aerial vehicles, WAVs, drones, balloon planes, pigeons. Even rockets are used for aerial photography. Air photography was first practiced by the French photographer and balloonist Gaspard Felix Tournatre known as Nadar in 1858 over Paris, France. Therefore, the earliest surviving air photography is titled Boston as the Eagle at the Wild Goose Scene, taken by James Wells Black and Samuel Archer King on October 18, 1860. It depicts Boston took from the height of 630 meters. The use of air photography matured during the war as to record enemy movements and even defense. Germany adopted the first air camera awards in 1930. The first commercial air photography company in the UK was Aerofilm Ltd, founded by the World War I veterans Francis Wilk and Clancy Graham White. In 1990, the company soon expanded into a business with major contracts in Africa, Asia as well as in Europe. A photography technique of photography of Earth's surface are features of its atmosphere or hydrosphere with cameras mounted on aircraft, rockets, Earth's satellites and other spacecraft. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Lakshana from Class 7 F section. Today, I would like to share my thoughts about wildlife photography with you. A photograph can transmit an idea faster and more effectively than words. A photograph have a major influence in creating area of wildlife protection and documenting a species. Wildlife photograph covers from the smallest insect to the largest mammal that varies from hundreds to thousands of species. In wildlife photography, subject comes first, photography comes second. The most important is to know about the subject and to have knowledge about the subject's behavior before the shoot. A wildlife photographer travels into a vast desert, dive to the ocean floor and trek into the jungle to explore new species. Wildlife photography is most challenging but very rewarding. Animals move, they blink, they turn ahead and fly off in some cases. Every perfect click or photograph has a legacy of 1,000 missed opportunities behind them, as wildlife photography thrives on chance. A wildlife photographer should keep his eyes and ears open and mouth shut while taking photograph. Patience is the key of success. They should be vigilant and to wait for a long enough time to capture the perfect click. Another reason is weather change. A photographer may get a good shot, but if the weather is not very clear and the lighting is not proper, the picture may look absurd. One of the most beneficial things of wildlife photography is that it educates people of beauty and vulnerability of plants and animals around the world. It also promotes positive awareness of global conservation issues for the preservation of biodiversity. Thank you.
A warm welcome to everyone. Today, I am excited to share information on travel photography. In the modern digital selfie era, photography has taken a new dimension with more accessible, high-end camera lens embedded within the mobile phone. A travel photographer travels the world over, capturing images of different landscapes, wildlife, and cultures. The series of photography tells the story and convey emotion, pulling the viewers into the shot
and making their wish that they were there. To stand out as travel photographer, learn photography, have a lightweight camera and lens, and above all you need to create a niche storytelling style for you. Thank you.
Photography is a therapy. Wherever there's light, one can do photograph. Photograph is a return ticket to a moment, otherwise gone. Photograph captures a moment that's gone forever, impossible to reproduce. So now let's have an exploration on the history and origin of photography.
A very warm welcome to everyone who gathered here. I'm Shritika Terence from class 8E, here to present a PPT about photography. Now let's talk about what is the photography, or the main idea of photography. So photography, it is a method of recording the image of an object through the action of light or radiation. And the word photography is derived from Greek, where photo means light and graphy is to draw. Not only let's see about the inventors of the photography. Not only today, but in the early time also, photography was a very great impact in the society. And many people were also like this photography because it was unique to them and different to them. And the main inventors of photography are Nicipho and Frederick Scott Archer. These two are the people who invented the photography. Now let's talk about the history of photography. How the photography came from a very half start to a very unique and advanced model. Around the 1717, Johann Henswitz made the very first attempt. He captured the light sensitive study with a cutout bottle, but he never thought to make these results very apparent. And the second attempt was made around 1800, where Thomas Wedgwood and his associative member made the very first reliable document. But it cannot capture these. The only problem in that is that we cannot capture these images in the permanent form because it was difficult for him to expose the camera and fix these images. As Wedgwood cannot fix these images, in the mid 1820s, Nicipho managed to fix the image that was captured with the camera. But it at least took 8 or even several days of exposing the camera, and the results were very good. Now let's talk about the very first photography, which was taken around 1826 by Joseph Nicipho. And this technique, use technique, was also known as heliography. And this very first photo was taken from his upstairs window in Bugatti, as you could see. Now let's talk about the evolution of photography. The very first photo took at least 8 hours or even several days of exposing the camera, but this was before they have invented the process of developing. And the early 1840, it only took just several minutes, and it was even reduced to a minute. Now we have a question that how are photos taken in the mid-century and which camera and which lenses did they use? And in the very first camera which was used to take a photo was its obscura camera. It was also known as a pinhole camera where the images were inverted to the 10th project. And in the 17th century, the camera obscura first became portable. It can be carried around easily and used. And around this time, the basic lenses was also introduced. Now let's talk about, as we've talked about the photography that was happened early and the photography that has happened in the mid-century. Now let's talk about the photography today. Now we are not currently using any old cameras because as the technology increases, we also started to buy cameras with better quality and better autofocus. And we see about the timeline, which is very advanced and very unique about photography, is that in the early time they used a camera, obscura camera, and in 1991 they started to use the first very professional digital camera. It only took a few years or even a few years of developing the camera. And we know that in 1826 was the very first photography that was taken. And in the World War II in 1939 inspired a very unique technique. And on 2000 onwards, the camera started to attach with the phone, and it was the very first camera phone. Now let's talk about turning point in photography. The main turning point in photography was able to edit it and Photoshop it. The main turning points are given here. As in 1987, Canon releases the very first camera with electronic autofocus. And in 1987, the Photoshop was developed by Thomas and John Canon. And in 1990, Adobe Photoshop 1.0 released on February 19. And in 1992, the photo CD was created by Kodak. And in 1974, Joseph H. Newman created the very first chemograms. These are the chemograms which are created by blue paintings and some oil. And this is Did You Know? Did you know that August 19th is celebrated as a World's Photography Day? And in 2021, it is Thursday and was celebrated as the World's Photography Day. And the main aim was to encourage people who are pursuing photography as a hobby, as a career. And this was also celebrated to appreciate the art, craft, culture, and the science and history of the photography. Now let's conclude this PPT by saying that the early hundreds they have used a camera called Obscura, and it also took like 8 to even 10 hours of exposing the camera to take even a picture. And in the mid-century, the camera which was used was very unique and was Kodak's commercial camera, and many other cameras was also introduced around this time. And only took them a few or even several minutes of exposing the camera to take a photo. And in the present day, we are using a professional camera like Canon or Nikon, and it only takes us a few seconds to take us a photo. So, thank you everyone for listening to my PPT.
Acknowledging the good that you already have in your life is the foundation for all abundance. Hence, photography is one such goodness created by men. So now, here we go for the oath of thanks.
Just morning to one year present here. It's a great honor and privilege to stand before you and extend my gratitude on this special day. Gratitude is the best blossom which springs from the soul. I extend a very heartful vote of thanks to our correspondent ma'am for such a wonderful opportunity and excel our talents in the pandemic situation. Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful support. Our sincere thanks to our principal, ma'am, for stimulating vicious aspiration for the rising generation. Your dedication and commitments inspire us. We are thankful to our respective teachers and their valuable guidance and contribution. Thank you to my fellow friends and thank you once again.